But legacy, obviously we're talking about what we build and how we're remembered. So I'm going to be talking about what I think of when I think of the legacy of this church, as well as some comments on my own legacy. But I'm going to start off with a quote from an article I came across by someone named Alex Walker, who I do not know who that person is, but he was writing about gratitude and legacy. He said, personal legacy refers to the lasting impact and impressions we leave behind, the mark we make on this world. It encompasses the values, actions, and contributions that define our existence long after we are gone. In this fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in the daily grind and lose sight of the bigger picture. However, taking the time to reflect on our lives and consider the legacy we want to leave behind is crucial. Cultivating a lasting impact and leaving a positive mark allows us to live with purpose and intention, transcending the ordinary and making a meaningful difference in the lives of others. By actively shaping our legacy, we can leave a positive imprint on the world and inspire future generations. To me, that kind of summed up what I think of when I think about legacy. So, thinking about the church's legacy in particular, the place we are, House and Hall, you know, this was the daughter, Emily Wheelock Howson, the daughter of the founder of the Unitarian, what was not a church back then, of course, but Reverend Edwin Wheelock. When she died, Emily Wheelock Howson died in 1957. She bequested $100,000 for the purpose of buying land to build a Unitarian church here in Austin. In today's dollars, that would be about $1.2 million that she bequested. And that's how we purchased the land for where we are. And then later on in time when I was here, it involved more with the church. Everett and Margaret Dupuis, who I know many of you remember, in the 1980s, they contributed money to the seed fund to start the capital campaign to build our new sanctuary. And then I'm going to mention one other person that I was thinking about when I was thinking about legacy, not necessarily in terms of dollars, but in terms of the legacy he has left in this community after being an active member of our church, and that was Paul Kirby. If any of you knew Paul, I served on the board with Paul, and he was one of the first to contract AIDS in our community. A wonderful man. And through his legacy was formed the Paul Kirby Fund through AIDS Services of Austin, which provided and has continued to provide emergency assistance to those with HIV. A huge legacy to somebody who was a beloved member of this congregation. I just want to read a section too from a letter I came across in my haphazard files that I have, but from the church from 1988, after we had dedicated the new sanctuary. Our minister at the time, Matthew McNaught, wrote a letter. It was actually about pledging, to tell you the truth, but I wanted to read something about it because I think something from what he said, I think it still reflects what we need to think about when we're thinking about what is it we're talking about with legacy. Why is this important? Why is this something that we want to be giving our attention to? He said, some of us, including me, have arrived more recently and have inherited, that's the term I want to remind you of, inherited the efforts and accomplishments of the last 30-odd years. Those of you who are new members became part of a vital liberal religious faith which has been here since our first beginnings in Austin. It may interest you to know that Austin's first Unitarian minister, Edwin M. Wheelock, was a student and friend of Ralph Waldo Emerson. So we have an exceptionally close connection to 19th century Unitarianism. It's also interesting and very touching that Derek Howard's father, to whom our beautiful new pulpit is dedicated, was a personal friend of James Reeb, who died for the Civil Rights course. The Reverend Ernest Howard's church in Tennessee was firebombed because of his and UUism's commitment to civil rights. It seems to me that in possessing and worshiping in our glorious new building, we are given 3 sets of keys. Through Mr. Wheelock, Mr. Howard, and our older members, we are given a key to the rich intellectual and humanitarian traditions of the past. Through our reception of the new building, we have keys to the UU future, a growing church in a growing city. We also receive the key to the present need to give generously for the maintenance of our new sanctuary and all that it symbolizes. Again, I find that very compelling, talking about being cognizant of where we came from, why it's important to continue to support it now, and why it's important to think about how we're securing things for the future. So in terms of Derek and me and our family and our legacy here at the church, we're kind of all over this place in some form or fashion. I don't know what it's called now, but the senior high room back in the back, we are part of the bricks on the wall that the kids painted back then when Derek and I were the advisors to the LRY youth group before we had our own kids. There are tiles here in the entrance to the sanctuary in the foyer. Tiles that Derek and I did, tiles that our 3 kids did. In the playground out there, I had a brother who died in 1988, if I'm remembering the years correctly. A younger brother, I was 15 years older than he was. And we planted a tree out there. It's been there now for quite a few years and has an oak tree that is huge and beautiful next to the play structure in the playground. A play kitchen is in one of the playrooms back there that was my kids that we contributed to the church. And then, of course, the pulpit. The pulpit was so significant to our family. It is not one of a kind, but it is 2 of a kind, basically. Ernie was a minister at the last ministry that he had was in Claremont, California. And when he retired, a woodworker from that area, from his church, made a pulpit in his honor for that church. And then when he moved here in retirement, and we knew that the sanctuary was coming, and Ernie had died, we had Chuck make another pulpit, which was installed in the sanctuary in Ernie's memory. And I have to tell you, I think it's, and I'm prejudiced, of course, but I just think it's exquisite. There's nothing like it to have the pulpit look like a chalice. It is just incredible. And I love it when the kids are doing the story time and they lean up against it and they're all over it. No, so though I haven't been active in the church in recent years, and quite frankly, that really started with COVID and my husband's death. And just now I do things more online just because of the hecticness of my life. But that pulpit is still something that I just treasure. So I'm not going to say much about me as a legislator. I know that some people had some questions they might ask, and I'll leave it up to that. But, obviously, I do feel like there's some purpose and intention to the work that I do at the legislature. And I hope that there is a legacy there that I can be proud of. But I'll tell you, quite frankly, people ask me, I've been there now 20 years. Out of 150 right now, I'm 15th in seniority. And people might say, well, after that amount of time, don't you think maybe it's time to move on and let some new people come in? But quite frankly, too, this election cycle we're in, there are 6 of us who represent Travis County as a whole, 3 of whom are running for other office. So it seemed like, well, maybe this isn't the time. We're going to have 3 new people coming in, half of our delegation. So it might be time to just stick around a little bit longer. And as a former board member of Common Cause Texas, I definitely understand good government and wanting to look at term limits and that sort of thing, but there's also value to institutional knowledge and seniority. So anyway, there I am. But people ask me, how do you keep doing this? Why are you doing this? And I think legacy has a lot to do with that. I still have to pinch myself that I've been given this opportunity to do things that make a difference in my community and in my state. I mean, when we are given those kinds of opportunities, I don't know about you, I'm sure you too, but it's just, you want to hold on to that. You want to do what you can. To be able to make a difference is probably the greatest gift that we have. And that's what legacy is all about. That's what you in here are already doing, so many of you, and I'm so appreciative. I also came across a service that my family did in 1999 when my oldest daughter, who's now I think 44, was graduating from high school and heading off to college. And we did an intergenerational service. Derek and I participated. My daughter and some of her friends sang. My mother-in-law, who was coming to the church at the time, before she died, she spoke, and I came across what she said, and I just want to mention one thing from one little portion of what she said, because I think it's also relevant. She says, "I am the marrow of what has been, the voice of our culture's past. I am the echo of a song that has been sung, the spirit and the soul of today's culture. You and I, we're tradition. Today's people are born of us. Today's stories have come from us. Today's ideals have been lived by us. We have created today's future. We are the bridge over which humanity must walk on its journey to tomorrow." Again, I love the concept, being the bridge from what's happened in the past, where we are today, to the future. Again, legacy. So I'm just going to conclude with, again, this person that I don't know who he is, but I like what he has to say, Alex Walker. "Let us strive to leave a positive mark, not only through our personal achievements, but also through the relationships we build, the kindness we show, and the gratitude we express. By doing so, we can shape our personal legacies and contribute to a brighter, more compassionate world. Remember, the power to make a difference lies within each of us, and it all starts with gratitude." Thank y'all for having me, and I'm happy to answer any questions or just hear your comments, whatever you'd like to do.